So I'm going to talk about Ariane Mnouchkine. She is a big dog in French theatre and European theatre in general, and theatre worldwide. She started a theatre company called the Théâtre du Soleil, and it was to start with a collective of performers. But Ariane very quickly, I think, gravitated away from performing and towards a directorial role and a leadership role. And the formation of this company was very tied up with the socio-political events of the time, and the time, which I haven't yet mentioned, is the 60s. And in France, towards the end of the 60s, famously in May 68, there was much political upheaval, strikes and demonstrations and protests, particularly among students, to the point that the government feared civil war. And Ariane's company was formed in 1964, but really came into its own in reaction to the events of May 68, and very shortly after May 68 is where they had their greatest stroke of luck and found La Cartoucherie, which is to this day the place where they operate, and it's a former ammunition factory, and they just happened to turn up at the right time when it was literally as it was being abandoned, and squatted, and since then have used the complex to create theatre. Yes, what are their aesthetics? Unsurprisingly, they come out of a Lecoq tradition of physical theatre, and a rejection of psychologisme, which is Ariane's term for psychological naturalistic acting. A very strong Brechtian tradition, in that one of Ariane's principles is that theatre should reveal itself. Another important point, which is partly what speaks to me about the Théâtre du Soleil's aesthetics. They were one of the earliest companies to really focus on the principle of theatre as immersion, and not so much as we think of immersive theatre today, where a world has been constructed around you that you can walk around in, but immersive in that the experience of going to the theatre is the whole experience, rather than just what's going on stage and something that you are separate from, and that the audience are the main agents. Can I put that little man? I don't know if that's acceptable. Yes, but it's worth mentioning that one point of Ariane's aesthetics, of her company's aesthetics, has come under criticism as Orientalist, because they take a lot of Eastern influences from Kabuki and Bunraku, and also the Indian forms of theatre like Kathakali and Terukutu, which I had never heard of, but I have now. It perhaps does come from a place of naivety that was possible however long ago it was, 50 years ago. Christ, yes, 50 years ago. That isn't really possible today. She's a woman, which shouldn't really be an important aspect of her practice, but she is in Europe and across the world a titan of 20th century theatre, and she has been at the helm of her company for more than 50 years, and that kind of success at being an artistic leader is very hard as a woman, as anybody. And she was of interest to me because she achieved this not by following conventional masculine models of what a leader is, but by knowing that she wanted to go work in a different way in a collaborative, communal, non hierarchical context. And she did this by, in a world where there was no place for this artistic model, creating her own world, literally, setting up a commune in a disused ammunitions factory. And I think that's pretty cool.